Hey guys, news from Iceland. The 7th eruption in the Sutnuka crater series on the Reykjanes Peninsula has just ended. That has been confirmed by the Icelandic Meteorological Office, but that is not all. There is more news, guys. What I want to do in this video, let's compare all the eruptions that we had since November 10th, since last year. Oh, I want to show you new diagrams that show what's going on underneath Svartsengi and in the magma chamber. And guys, I'm not cold on my head, and I didn't have a bad hair day because in my last video you saw me wear something similar because I really had a bad hair day. But the problem is the light in this RV. So this light that I have here, it's late at night, guys, but I want to get this video out. So if I make the videos here, I need natural daylight because I don't have any other lights for filming here. So there's a light right on top of me, and that at night shines like an apple-sized, like shining hole on my forehead, which looks really ridiculous. The other day, one of you asked me if I have a black and blue around my eye. No, this is the stupid light here. It comes from one side, and then one side looks dark, and whatever, guys. I mean, don't look at me. Let's have a look at Iceland. So this is a picture that has been taken just yesterday when they were flying over the crater, and there was no activity in the last active crater, the northern crater, when they were flying a drone over it. They saw something glowing there still yesterday morning, but in this picture it looks like there's some reddish stuff that is still lava, that is still cooling down, but nothing is erupting from it. So this is the eruption east of Stora Skogfell that started on November 20th, and that has ended. Now officially, Icelandic Met Office has stated that. The civil defense has stated it. It was their drone that was flying over the eruption site and was giving the status of the eruption. No activity visible. Last glow was seen at 7 a.m. on the webcams yesterday morning. So this eruption has lasted for 18 days, and it was the second largest eruption in terms of area of where the lava has spread, of the size of the lava carpet in the Sutnuka crater series. Out of these 7 eruptions that have occurred basically since December last year, this eruption series started with a magma intrusion on November 10th last year. Magma didn't make the way to the surface. It was getting out of the magma chamber, creating this long magma dike underneath Grindavik that goes into the Sutnuka crater series. So let's compare the eruptions, and then I will show you what's going on with the land rise. So this chart is quite interesting. This shows all the eruptions on the Reykjanes Peninsula, so not only in the Sutnuka crater series. So basically there have been 10 eruptions since this new phase of volcanic eruptions on the Reykjanes Peninsula. We know by now, we definitely know, guys, the Reykjanes Peninsula has woken up from a 800-year dormancy, and what is to expect? This could be active for decades, even for centuries. Some scientists are saying for 300 years. So if we look at all the eruptions, not only on the Sutnuka crater series, the last eruption that started on November 10th was the actual 10th eruption on the Sutnuka crater series since the peninsula got active again. And the new eruption period began in March 2021. And all these eruptions, all these different eruptions, each of these 10 eruptions has lasted for varying length of time, and they have spewed different amounts of lava out of their craters to the surface. So according to geologists, The 9th eruption was the most powerful in this series of volcanic eruptions on the Reykjanes Peninsula. And so that was the eruption that came before the recent one, right? And the recent eruption that began on November 20th has massively threatened infrastructure in Svartsengi and especially the Blue Lagoon. That was the first time that the Blue Lagoon really had to get some trembling that something might go wrong. Their parking lot was completely destroyed. A maintenance building for the bus drivers was burned down. So this came dangerously close. So that's why they have to build these protective structures around the power plant and the Blue Lagoon, and they were able to protect their valuable structures there. So because of how far north the last eruption was, the lava this time did not flow towards Grindavik, but to the north and to the west towards Svartsengi. So the eruptions at the Sutnuka crater series have now reached number 7 in less than a year, because the first eruption after the intrusion began on December 18th, 2023. But that one did really not last long, just 2-3 days something. The longest eruption, though, has lasted for 53 days. So that's a long time. And that was in spring, when this eruption began on March 16th and lasted till May 8th. And, you know, they have built these defense walls around Grindavik and Svartsengi. And these defense walls, that's what the experts are now saying, have put under considerable strain during all these events. So when in the summer the lava began to flow over the dikes that had been built north of the hydrothermal power plant in Svartsengi, that was scary. And this was the first time on the Reykjanes Peninsula that they tried lava cooling. And that was the first time they tried this. Only one time before, when they had the Vestmannaeyjar eruption in 1973, where they were able to save the port and redirect the lava. You cannot stop the lava. So when the lava did flow over the dike, they quickly built another defense wall to catch that one. But this time at the Blue Lagoon, had it breached the defense wall, there was no space to build a second wall. So that would have been really, really bad. So after the dikes were breached in summer, they were so lucky that just a few hours later, this eruption ended, because that could have been a disaster. But what the scientists are saying, this is a new chapter in Iceland's geological history. And so look at this chart. You see the duration of the volcanic eruptions that have happened on the Reykjanes Peninsula in days. So the Geldingaldir eruption, 183 days. And then another one, Meraldalje, I don't know if I pronounced that right, so sorry for that, 18 days. Little Rutur, 26 days. And then we have the 7 Sutnuka crater series eruptions. We had some short ones with 3 days, 2 days, and 1 day. So the first one in December was only 3 days. So the hope was, after the first 3 eruptions, oh yeah, they don't really last that long. But then boof, eruption number 4 with 53 days. And then number 5, 24. That's quite long as well. And then we had 16, and now we had 18 days. So it seems they're getting longer again, or longer in the Sutnuka crater series. But that new chapter in Iceland's geological history, I mean, when that eruption period began in March 2021 in Fagradalsfjall, it lasted the longest, 183 days. That is really, really long. It was a spectacular eruption. People loved it. It did not threaten any settlements or structures, so it was not a big deal. It was probably for tourism quite a valuable eruption. People flocked to Fagradalsfjall to see it, and they really enjoyed watching it, and they didn't think at that time that there could be something like an eruption epidemic starting with this one on the Reykjanes Peninsula. And then in the immediate vicinity, time-wise, 2 other eruptions followed. You see it here on the chart again, but they were much shorter lived than the first one. And Fagradalsfjall had the final eruption for now on August 5th, 2023. And then it seems it was switching over to the Sutnuka crater series, because then the earthquakes started near Grindavik, and then there was a lot of shaking. We all remember the damage in Grindavik, roads torn apart, homes tilted, foundations destroyed. It was really, really bad. So that was the timing when the geologists started to focus their attention on Svartsengi and the land rise that they measured north of Grindavik. So, and then on December 18th, we all know, there was the first eruption. And let's not only compare the days, let's compare the amount of volcanic material that was spit out by the volcano in each eruption since the first one in 2021. So you see, the bigger the circle, the bigger the amount that came out. And the red ones, that is the Sutnuka crater series, the 7s. And the other one, the biggest one, the biggest blue circle here on the right, that's the Fagradalsfjall eruption that lasted the longest. And of course, it has spit out the most lava. And, you know, but if we compare this, the Sutnuka crater series is not that bad, right? The last one, number 5, 45 million cubic meters, not that bad, right? So it's getting larger. We will have to wait and see. I mean, this volcano plays with us a little bit. One time it's not dangerous, one time it's dangerous. I mean, when at first, the first 3 eruptions, they were so short-lived, nobody thought that they're really dangerous, but then they were followed by much greater destruction and consequences for the residents of Grindavik and Sudurns, with evacuations, a lack of electricity, hot water. 3 homes were burned down by lava. So compared to what was happening over there at Fagradalsfjall, the Sutnuka crater series eruptions, they were really problematic. We all remember when the lava, when this fissure opened basically right inside of Grindavik and did flow over houses and then over roads so many times, Grindavik-Vego, electrical wiring, utility lines, and hot water pipes, cold water pipes, right? But overall, the eruptions in the Sutnuka crater series have together spit out less material to the surface, but their force has been greater than the blue ones. So when we look at the average daily lava volume that was produced by the eruption, the one-day eruption that we saw in February has spit out 12.8 million cubic meters of lava to the surface in just one day. So in comparison, the most productive eruption, the first in Fagradalsfjall, produced an average of 820,000 cubic meters of lava per day. So Sutnuka crater series has a lot of power. So what we can say, for example, the eruption in February this year has produced over 15 times more lava per day than the eruption in Fagradalsfjall. So that is something to consider. And now we come to the land rise, because it seems we just, now that the one has ended, repeat. We're waiting for the next one. The land is rising again. And here are the new charts from the Icelandic Meteorological Office. So have a look at this. So, you know, just yesterday or the day before yesterday, they were like, yeah, the land is rising, but we're not 100% sure. It might be. So look at that chart. It's clearly rising. The last chart is the most interesting, where we see the land rise in millimeters. And on the very far right end of this, you see it's the little dip. It's coming up again. And the green point, that is their last measurement that they did. That was December 8th. So we're probably even higher now, December 10th, right? So clearly we see the schematic. And what's interesting, if we look at the last previous ones, they basically look the same. That was new, because in the last eruptions before, it was always more magma in the magma chamber needed to trigger the next one. But this time it was almost the same amount. So it's going to be interesting what we will see with the up and coming eruption that is probably happening. Maybe end of January, mid of February, end of February, something like this. But with this volcano, we never know. Could be earlier, could be later, but it looks like it's definitely coming, guys. So that was my update. I thought it's interesting to compare all of them, since we're basically a year of this, right? And now we're entering in another year, and we will see what that brings. So thank you to all of you who have followed me for a year, who looked at my updates, my news about the volcano, the lagoonies, and the people in Grindavik. So I appreciate you a lot. Thanks for that. And if you're new here, if you're interested in that topic, well, subscribe, right? And if you want to learn more behind the scenes, hey guys, become a member. All the important links are in the description. And yeah, if I still have time tonight, I will release another update about Apollo's treatment and another video for you guys. And as I'm speaking about that, I really have to say thank you again for all the coffees you keep sending me on my Buy Me a Coffee site. It eases my mind so that I'm getting help towards that monstrous vet bill for Apollo. But the great news is it really seems to work. That's what they told me. We're early into the treatment, but they say it seems to work, and I can see it with him. He starts to bark again. He hasn't barked for quite a while. He couldn't bark, or it was hurting him. Today, just a few minutes ago, he was really barking at me, telling me that he's hungry. So yeah, I'm very happy about that, and it's thanks to you guys. You are making this possible, so thank you. And yeah, I see you in the next video or in my channel membership section, guys. Thank you. Stay safe. Bye-bye.